This is Ion Sullivan. I am your host, Mike McGuire, joined today, as we are each week, by the chairman, Rob Doherty. Rob, we haven't been together in the last couple of weeks for various reasons.
Yeah, busy.
Weather, and you were down in Florida with your wonderful wife celebrating your 31 years of bliss.
That is true.
And I was down there in Ocala at the motorcycle races.
Which is the creepiest place on earth. Those cypress trees are creepy, and they scare me, and that's why I didn't go see
Well,
it.
yeah, and we're very close to you in Ocala,
Yeah.
but the cypress trees are like something out of a scary movie.
They are.
And as the sun goes down and it got rainy one day, it's really pretty creepy. But through the fog and through the mist and through the creepy trees, Sullivan County's Andy Caradontis was on fire.
He's a beast.
11 out of 12, and he had to go handlebar to handlebar with one guy. But hey, come in and said, "You want me to finish second?"
Yeah, these things happen.
So he did great, and Carl McGuire got 2 national titles and 1 overall title. So
right.
we were real happy about that, and I didn't bruise any ribs this year, so I was happy about that.
There you go.
And it was a good show overall, but we've got lots of things to catch up on today.
Sure.
The Green Bay Packers have moved to Miami.
I think Miami moved to Green Bay.
Well, that could be, but we got that trip planned next year.
Yes,
it's going to be a lot of fun because you got so many.
I think it's this year.
It's this year, right? It's
months away.
As soon as the schedule comes out, we'll book it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be legendary because, of course, Andy Caradontis and his lovely wife, Lori, will be joining us.
So it's 9 people going.
So he's a big Green Bay Packer fan, and everyone you mention it to, they want to join us. So we may need a bus, but it's going to be terrific.
It will be terrific. So myself, my 3 sons are going.
Yep.
So the oldest and youngest, John and Douglas, are Miami fans.
Yep.
Matthew is an owner of
The Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, of the Green Bay Packers, much like Danny Briggs.
Yep.
And your wife is a lifelong Packers fan.
She is lifelong.
And you are a nearly lifelong.
I was a Packer fan from 1965 at Super Bowl I, and then my grandfather took me to a practice at some high school in 1970 when we were visiting him in Florida, the Miami Dolphins, and back then the NFL wasn't what it was today. You'd walk up to the guys, you're in your folding chair. It was like something out of the Cape Cod League. And they would sign autographs and stuff. So, of course, I became a Dolphin fan.
Yeah.
But always have a love of the Packers. So we're so excited to make that trip. And Andy is a lifelong Packer fan as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, no, so this trip could be pretty epic.
It's going to be great. And with the Miami GM, the head coach, the quarterback are all Packers.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good. But before we plan our trip, there's lots of things that we need to catch our audience up on. And I want to start off the fiscal year for New York State runs April to March.
Correct. March 31st. April 1st to April Fool's Day.
Right.
To March 31st.
Okay.
And most people misunderstand that. So.
Right. So that means that everything that you do with the state runs on that calendar, not
Correct.
on the traditional calendar. And that includes sales tax.
Correct.
So the sales tax revenue numbers annually come out in March and April.
Well, they come out in the final hard numbers,
Right.
The ones that everything's going to be based off of, come out towards the end of April, okay?
Right.
So we would get them in like the May meeting, right? Kathleen Lara, whoever the treasurer is, would stand up there and give you the hard final number, right? But what you don't understand is, and most people don't understand this, each quarter
Right.
where you're at, okay? And they guesstimate, and they're pretty accurate, okay, where you're going to be.
Well,
okay?
let's face it. Your atmosphere for commerce really doesn't change dramatically.
No.
I mean, COVID obviously was something, and with the price of gas coming down for a while.
And I mentioned that a couple shows ago.
You mentioned that a couple shows ago. So you'll get some blips, but it has to be predictable because you have to pass a budget in December based on it.
But you also have to remember on the gas thing, is that gas is only part of the fuel, right?
Right.
So you have to remember that we also have heating fuel in there, and you have electricity for commercial entities in there. Which, by the way, my bills in two different businesses that I run have doubled. Okay, and so you're paying tax on that.
$2,000 was my electric bill in my office here in Liberty last month. $2,000.
Yeah, at the store it was $22.96, and the diner was $22.35.
Yeah, it's off the charts.
Yeah.
So sales tax, and obviously this is a sales tax driven economy in this county.
That's
that was what you always.
I've always said that, and I've said this for years. Because we don't have manufacturing, okay?
Right.
And now people always talk about, the IDA this, the IDA that. Let me tell you something. The problem with it is that we're so close to the Pennsylvania border, okay? And we've explained this in other shows. Whereas if you had a legitimate manufacturing business, okay, which would be very difficult to start in the state of New York with their current costs.
We see them leaving the state of New York.
So as you're ramping up, you'd have to start from a small and then ramp up.
And the competition is vicious.
Correct.
When there's somebody who's looking for a plant, they're going to be recruited like a 5-star athlete.
So what happens is the state of Pennsylvania comes in and they say, hey, we're going to give you, a new facility, all the stuff. But the one thing that they give you is credit on the payroll tax, which is basically giving cash to the owner.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
So if you're like, okay, we're going to give you $5 million payroll tax credit, that means the business does not have to pay their payroll tax up to $5 million.
Yeah.
And that could be spread over a couple of years.
Sure.
So you're basically paying the owner $5 million.
Right.
To move.
And
you're like, okay.
Okay, yeah, we're in for that.
Yeah.
So this should be a time of the year when, particularly Sullivan County, which is, again, a sales tax-driven economy, is anxiously awaiting what those numbers are, although, as you said, we get them quarterly.
So Kathleen Lara, the treasurer, the treasurer of our county, handed out her monthly report today at the management and budget meeting, and these were the numbers, just so we're crystal clear.
Okay.
So now remember, back in the fall,
right,
I said that the legislature was lying to you.
Correct.
And that they were making a budget that was full of falsehoods and that they were going to miss their numbers by, I believe I said $2 million at the time.
So to bring the audience back, they were at 9%, and they got it down to 2%.
First, they were at 15.9%. Right. Then they went down to 9.1%.
But they used fund balance for that.
Correct. So they used $5.5 million of fund balance to bring it down, right?
To 9.
To 9, okay? So then they got it down to 2, and some of the quotes that I just want to read this quote to you because it still shocks me to this very day, okay? Because I don't know how. So one of my arguments against them is that they're not doing their job, and that's part of the problem.
Legislature.
The legislature's not doing their job. So
it's not a spectator sport.
It is not. So the chair, and I'm not picking on him, I'm just stating facts. The chair of management and budget is Brian McPhillips. Okay, he has not had one single special budgetary meeting to have the 5 or 6 major departments in the county come to the legislature, and the meeting's designed just for them. Okay,
but they really have only had those for a period of 4 years.
Correct.
Because pre-2020 they never had them, and post-2024.
And now keep in mind, pre-2020, they overspent their revenues 4 years in a row. Okay?
So consistency was the mark of that champion.
Total mismanagement of the budget back then.
Right.
And now you're mismanaging the budget again, and you're not having those special meetings. Okay?
The common thread is there were meetings. George Conklin convened meetings 20, 21, 22, 23.
Okay. So after the budget was passed, right? Brian McPhillips, the chair of management and budget.
Right.
Now keep in mind his cousin, Matt McPhillips, was
Maddie Niceegg.
Maddie Niceegg, right? Who lives in a nice gated community. Don't worry about Maddie. Maddie's doing all right.
Well, that's because he couldn't find any place else to live.
Well, he lied, yes.
Right.
So he says, I agree that I don't necessarily like the way the numbers worked out. And he's a voting member. He voted for the budget.
Right.
And he's saying, I don't like the way the numbers worked out. You're the head of management and budget.
Right.
Okay? Reiterating that public opinion was a driving force that led to the new budget coming in under the tax cap.
Well, the public opinion was we don't want 9% tax increase.
Okay. We live not in a democracy, folks.
No.
Okay, we live in a representative republic.
Correct.
And you're the representative.
Right.
Your job is to do your job.
Is to do your job. The public doesn't have all the information you have. And the public outcry was, we just had a 19% tax increase in the Village of Liberty. We've got tax increases all over the place, not in Lumberland, I might add.
Correct.
We don't want a 9% tax increase. They weren't basing it on anything.
Not in the town of Bethel either, by the way.
Not in the town of Bethel
Danny
either.
Sturm doing a great job.
So once we get past the light in Bethel, we're in. Well, we got Highland, but we're okay there.
Yeah.
So the outcry for the public was we don't want a 9% increase. But what you need to convert that to is the core issue. Too many politicians are running to get elected,
Correct.
not running to govern.
Okay.
And so the public opinion they didn't want was to have to run in a couple of years with tax increases.
Correct. So then Brian McPhillips finishes his quote by saying, but I do think that it's, meaning the new budget, probably not in the best interest of the county. But he voted for this budget.
He votes for a budget that's not in the best interest of the county. Well, that's consistent because I think that Cat Scott sabotaged the nursing home sale.
Correct.
That was also not in the best interest of the county.
But by the way, not in the budget.
Right.
$5.3 million that we're going to have to pull out of somewhere. But let me read this number to you.
So go ahead. I took us off track, but yes.
So she hands out her report. Okay. So now
Kathleen
Lara does, right? Now keep in mind, we are 2 weeks away from the quarter ending.
Right.
They pretty much know
the fiscal year end.
Yeah. They pretty much know where we're at right now, okay?
Yeah, you're not going to get a big run on building products in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. From the $80 million that they budgeted, okay?
Of sales tax.
Sales tax, okay? Which we've only hit $80 million one time in the history of the county. They are down $5,181,910. They're off by $5 million.
They're off by $5 million in their estimate. Now, to have our audience understand what that means that there is a revenue gap right now of $5 million. That money wasn't going into savings. That money was there to fuel the expenditures that they approved.
Correct.
That's what it was there for.
Correct.
And they can't change the tax situation now.
They are down. Okay. This is what I've been talking about now for 2 years. They're down compared to 2024. Okay. So the years that they were in office, okay, they're down $5,396,248. Okay. Now you have to remember, I talked about this in a letter to the editor. 50% of the beds in this county are Airbnbs.
Right.
Which we're now able to tax.
We're able to tax them, right.
Okay. And our sales tax still went down.
And that just started in 25.
It started a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So for the whole year, they've had this in their pocket. Okay. And they're still down basically $5.4 million.
Now, the other side will argue, well, how can you blame us for sales tax being down? And we don't. We blame them for having 3/4 of the information on their plate.
Correct.
And overestimating it to create an illusion
Correct.
of the taxes, of the revenues in when they pass the budget. That's the problem. Maybe people at the county elected nicer people. So that's
they nicer
good.
people? Okay.
I don't know if they are, though.
Are they nicer people? Okay.
I think they're dishonest.
Okay, so we have Maddie Nysek, who's the most dishonest person on the legislature by a mile, living in a gated community.
Right.
Okay. Meanwhile, people in his district are choosing medicine, food, or electricity. And that's a fact. There's a report that came out from New York State that stated that. Okay. But not to worry for Matty. He's in a nice area. Don't worry. He drives nice new car. His wife drives a new car. You pay for his health care. Don't worry about it. Did he get health care from NYSEG? No, he turned it down, took the money from NYSEG for not opting their health insurance, and took it from the county, okay, for him and his family. They're lying to you. They're driving you into the poorhouse, okay? They, in their 2 years, and they had to lie to get to the 2% budget increase.
Right. I mean, it was a complete illusion.
Okay.
So nobody on the legislature, and I think that you read the quote from Brian.
Yeah.
Nobody on the legislature believed what they were voting for. They didn't believe that was attainable.
All 4 Republicans voted no for the budget.
Right.
Okay. So Brian's sitting there saying, this isn't good for the county, but you voted for it. You could have said no, Brian, and knocked the budget down.
Right. And he's really the numbers person.
Is
supposedly
he? Is he?
Well, then that's the role he plays, the chairman of management and budget.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the role that he's been assigned to.
His cousin was the head of economic development, and Nadia took him off that. At the midway through, she took him off that because it was a disaster. They're down 4,000 jobs from the day I left office.
Yeah, but there's one job they're not down. His wives.
Yeah. Right. Him and his wives, they're doing just fine.
Right.
So you're down $5.1 million. You don't have $5.3 million of the nursing home expenditure in the budget.
That's 10.4.
You're down $10.4 million. Okay? And what are we talking about here, folks? So their first year they went to the cap, right, which I believe was 2.3 or 2.4.
Right.
Right. And then last year they knew the information. And they lied to you, okay? They lied to the people of Sullivan County, okay?
Well, that's because it was more important to have a soundbite that they didn't break the cap than to be honest.
Correct.
That's what I mean. Look, it's not a personal thing. That's what I mean by being fundamentally dishonest.
Okay.
You knew that you weren't going to make those revenue numbers.
So in 2 years, their taxes have gone up 4.3%, okay? They still have 2 years to go, and they're in a hole. Okay, they are taking the money that my team had put away.
Right.
Okay, and they are now having to bust open every piggy bank we have, turn over every couch. They're taking change out of the cushions at this point.
Right.
Okay, because they don't know how to manage a county, and they will lie to you over and over again that they do. And put you in the poorhouse.
Their comeback is going to be, don't blame us for the economy and the sales tax being down. And this has to be driven home clear. They were aware that the budget they were voting on was unattainable and that it was going to create a hole, at least 2 or 3 million. It turns out it's going to be closer to 5.5 million.
Correct.
Now, how do they fill that hole? More smoke and mirrors. That's the problem. And that's the difference, is that they've increased the workforce. They haven't been good to the workers of the county.
No.
Because they can't do contracts now.
Correct.
And the workers of the county, many of them live in the county.
Correct.
They have to go to work, go home, and pay these exorbitant electric bills, pay these taxes, and face cutbacks, because there's got to be cutbacks.
Every commercial entity pays not only has their electricity gone up,
right?
The taxes that they pay on electricity has gone up,
right?
Who do you think pays that bill? I mean, so at any of the places I own, you think I'm paying that bill?
No, of course not.
No,
it's got to get passed on. It's a business.
It's passed on. That's how it works.
Of course.
Okay, and then these guys, want to show up to, dinners and everything else and smile and shake hands and all that cutesy stuff. But they're putting you in the poorhouse.
Well, their objective is to get elected.
Correct. So I have freely admitted that maybe I didn't say the message as well as I should have said it. I could have been a little nicer. I've admitted to that many times.
Right.
Okay. I was part of the vitriol, and I've apologized to my fellow Republicans over that. But I never lied to anyone. I told them the truth, and the one thing I said, if I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. You must be able to manage your losses properly.
Well, let's talk about the vitriol. The vitriol affected 4 or 5 people on the dais, maybe a half a dozen people in the audience. They had the right to not be in the audience.
Correct.
But 77,000 people that live here and pay taxes here benefited because you stuck a line in the sand and said, we are not going into debt. We are not going to inflate the workforce here artificially to increase the burden on the taxpayer. That was an absolute.
Correct.
That was an absolute. And the results are the results. Look, you can bring the receipts. You came in $14 million fund balance, went out
87.
87, came in at 14, went out at 87, and now we are just past the 2-year mark.
Gave the most generous contracts to every
union, with multiple years to go.
Okay, with multiple years to go. Paid off $26 million of bonds ahead of schedule. Okay, so we make our normal bond payments, and I said, Nancy, we need to wrap this up. Okay,
right.
We need to push this forward. Okay. Then the other thing we did was part of our fund balance. We took 2 months worth of bills because I learned a very valuable lesson during COVID. Okay. When a pandemic happens, a mortgage crisis happens, any of that stuff happens, your government shuts down.
Right.
Okay. And you may say, oh, we're owed X amount of money. Okay. And your state government, your federal government says, we'll get to you when we get to you. Okay.
Yeah, when we have an opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, I tell you what, just wait around and we'll get to it.
Because we'll take your complaints when we get to it, right after we pay you.
Exactly. So I said, we need to be able to operate for 2 months.
Right.
Okay. And that's the money that this crew is going to go after. They're looking to open up that piggy bank and say, we don't need 2 months. Nothing bad's going to happen. And what's going to happen is they're going to go after that, and then you're going to see the next legislature have to come in and basically slash and burn things to the ground to get even again.
Well, okay. So we're at $5.3 million shortfall in revenues.
Yeah.
Where you can only not buy so many things. You got to keep the lights on.
Correct.
You got to have paper in the copy machines. You got to have copy machines. You got to have pens and paper, whatnot. Where does $5.3 million come from? What's the only place it can come from?
You can bond.
Right.
Okay. But now...
That's debt.
Okay. Yeah.
You got to pay that bill. And you slap down the credit card.
And here's the other thing that people forget, okay? When I came into office, they were bonding to pave roads.
Correct. The most fundamental act, that in public safety, that a government does.
Correct.
They weren't calculating in their budget.
Correct. And we took us off the government to we're no longer paying, bonds to do this. So we included that into our budget, okay?
Right.
Which they had not done for a decade before
right.
me, okay? And so not only were we putting money away, paying off bonds early. We were now taking on an expense.
Right.
Okay. That to the tune of $17 million. Okay. That they hadn't touched in years. Right. And what happens when you bond for roads, folks? You don't do all the culvert work.
Right.
You don't do all the other work.
Right.
Okay. So we did that project on East Broadway. It was 20 some odd $20 million.
And we paid the Villages part of it.
And we paid the Villages part. And then George Nicolatis was like, oh, I never said I would pay that. Like, guy, yeah, you did.
I think it was well before George Nicolatis was around that Village said they would pay it.
Yeah.
And then he said to Josh he would pay it.
In an email.
Right.
And then in an email later, after the $800,000 bill came through, he was like, I'm not paying that.
Well, he had to pay for the equipment that he ordered, and then after it arrived, wanted the county to pay it. I was like, we're not paying that.
Yeah.
You're going to have, what, are you going to have a gym outside? Really?
Oh, man. We know too much.
All right. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on, because ultimately this may mean job cuts.
Job cuts.
It has to.
I don't know where they get the money from, quite frankly.
It has to come from workforce. I mean, they can bond it, but that credit card bill's got to pay.
They're already down 4,000 jobs in the county. Now you're going to start cutting county employees?
But the county's not down in staff. County's up.
No. The county's up 200 jobs.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But the county as a whole
is down.
All workforce
is down.
Shrunk.
Right.
By 4,000 jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what are we doing here, folks? I mean, so in my 4 years with the legislature I led, we had a 3.83% tax increase.
Right. Total.
Over
4 years.
Over 4 years. And you know how I feel about that. Okay. And so,
I know how you felt about the last one.
And so this crew right now, 2 years in, is at 4.2. Okay.
All right. So they exceeded your
4 year total
in 2 years.
with a lie.
Well, that's good. Didn't you set the bar and they exceeded it?
Okay. And not only that, their first budget, I wrote for them.
That's true.
Right? I wrote the first one for
them.
Right. I gave you a mulligan on the
Here's
first
the first one.
Right.
Yeah.
I got you. Don't worry about it. You know, you guys are fine. And they're sitting there the first year like, oh, this job's not so hard.
Yeah, we got to hire some people here. We got to do some things here.
Like, wait a second. I don't know what Rob was talking about. This job's easy.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, because I gave you the budget.
All right. So we got some other topics we want to discuss. Nationally, we're hearing a lot of things, mostly out of Minnesota and out of California about federal agents and not having body cam. And what we have found as a practitioner is that body cam video, for the most part, just reinforces what a good job our law enforcement folks do.
Correct.
And the most delicate things that now, as a defense attorney, I would like to see, we don't see. Now, I'm not suggesting that what's happening when the cameras are off is improper. It's just that, we don't get a chance to see it. So the sheriff has always been kind of on the fence. Actually, he's not been on the fence. He has opposed body cam. And more recently, I believe he went to the legislature to ask for body cam.
Last month.
And I know that our commissioner of public safety supported him.
Scott Schulte.
Supported him on that.
Scott Schulte at that meeting says we've been working on this. He's been working on it.
Yep.
For over a year.
Yep.
So we have a year of his office's time. Looking into different programs, the best cameras, and they came up with a plan.
And Scott's deputy came out of the sheriff's office.
Correct.
And so he kind of gave him that to work on. He's kind of a technology guy.
Correct.
So that was a perfect fit.
No,
Right.
It works out well.
Yeah.
And so, but now remember with body cams, right? There's no more wink and nod on speeding tickets. Don't forget
right, folks.
that. Okay?
Yeah, that's right.
It's all gone. Okay?
All gone.
'Cause now you're on camera.
Right.
And they have you, no more, hey,
Right.
don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. Those days are over.
Those days are over. Yeah.
Don't forget that, okay? So, Mike, the sheriff, Mr. Sheriff Schiff, is looking for 84 cameras.
Okay.
And it's over a 5-year plan. Okay. This is the delicious part here, buddy. And it's going to cost $308,520, okay? Or $61,704 annually.
For 4 years.
For 5 years.
For 5 years.
Okay? The legislature says that they back the body cams.
All right.
Okay? But they're not willing to pay for them because they don't have the money.
Oh. You talking about $61,000.
You're talking about
It's not even one employee.
They don't have $61,000 to pay for public safety.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow. And it means directly issue of public safety.
Okay? They don't have the money because they've spent so much money. They're like, oh, Mike, we think it's great. Can you get a grant for it? Oh, we think we can get a grant for half of it. So that's
a matching grant.
So that brings it down to basically $30,000 a year.
Right.
I don't know if we can help you with that.
I think that without even thinking twice, again, rest in peace, Mike Brooks, he wanted to make sure that we outfitted the SROs, whether they were sheriff's office or not, with the tools that they would need to deal with an active shooter in a school.
And we did that.
I mean, that was like not even a consideration, and it was probably more than $60,000.
Oh, no. That cost us close to $250,000.
$250,000.
And what did we do? We gave every SRO an AK-47.
Right.
Okay. We gave them breaching tools, so we didn't have a Uvalde situation.
Right.
Okay. So part of the problem in Uvalde was the bad guys locked themselves in a room. Right. And they were basically killing children in the room, and the police officers had no way to get into the room.
The rooms were steel for fire protection.
Correct.
And they couldn't get in.
So we went out and bought every SRO these tools that expand the doorway.
Right.
Okay. And a battering ram.
All
right. So that you could not, if you were the bad guy, you could not lock yourself in the room. Okay?
Right.
Then on top of that, so we got the AK-47 for every SRO.
Right.
We got the breaching tools, which was there a pinch bar, a battering ram, and the thing that expands
the doorway.
Yeah, expands the doorway, which is very popular in narcotics takedowns with police officers, from what I understand. Okay.
So flashbangs, but we're not going to talk about those right now.
Not right now.
Right.
But, and then we bought every officer, every SRO, a shield.
Right.
Right. So let's say the guys in the hallway, or gals in the hallway, and they're shooting at you.
Right.
And you're kind of pinned down into a classroom.
I mean, you're in school, so you're talking about lockers, concrete,
correct,
narrow hallways
correct.
In some of our schools. It's not a great place to be.
So we bought shields so the officer can then engage in the hallway,
right,
where
neutralize that threat.
Yeah. Now that person is no longer, now that person's exposed in the hallway, and you're behind a shield that can stop. I believe we got the best shield.
We got the best we could.
Correct, because I remember when Sheila came to us and said, we can get this one or this one, right? And that was literally a 1 minute discussion in the legislature. We said, we want the better one.
We want the better one. It's more money, but we want the better one. And we
correct.
Had used, consulted with people that knew.
Correct.
Amazing. Actually, the legislators did homework.
Correct.
And that's what they came with. And as I recall, that $250,000 was... It may have even been an add-on resolution because it was, $250,000 to keep our schools safe and our children safe.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's done. It's done. I mean, but, folks, that's what happens when you're not living on credit. Correct. And you have done what you need to do, whether there was vitriol or not. When you've put the county, just like in your household, when you put your household in a position where when the hot water heater goes out, you don't have to say, well, we'll deal with cold water for a couple of months. You buy it. You
correct.
Take care of it. And those things, there had been a shooting. I mean, there was an active shooter in a school today in Michigan.
Correct.
In Bloomfield, in Michigan, there's an active shooter. So, folks, it's coming to a theater near you. It's just inevitable.
It happens all the time.
And the county was like, in fact, I don't even think it was the sheriff that came to the county first. I think it was the legislature.
Correct.
Mostly Mike Brooks initially
correct.
that said, we've got to be prepared for this. And then got the undersheriff and the sheriff involved, and they were like, well, yeah, but there's a cost. What's the cost if we don't have it?
So Mike Brooks had brought it up because the Uvalde situation had just happened.
Right.
He brought it up. As you know, my wife was on the Monticello Central School District for 12 years. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to her, and she said, no, they're kind of out in the open if this happens.
Yeah.
God forbid if this happens, right?
I think your sister also weighed in on
correct
what you need to do. She was a lieutenant in the NYPD.
NYPD. She has some knowledge. And
the point is there was homework being done.
Correct.
Yeah.
And she was also instrumental, by the way, in making sure that we got, all the drug cameras and all that stuff,
right.
Because this is what you need to do to have an effective operation.
Correct.
All right? Like, she was shocked that we didn't have most of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent close to $1 million on this stuff, not in a blink of an eye, okay?
Right.
We were like, yeah. And by the way, why were we able to do that? Because we managed our budget daily. Okay? It wasn't something like, oh, it's budget time, let's see. I believe Nadia's quote was,
go ahead.
Josh gives us the budget and we vote on it.
Correct.
That was her involvement. That's what she thought a legislator's involvement was in the budget process.
That was an absolute quote. She
I said,
do you understand the budget process? What? Yeah, Josh gives it to us. We vote on it.
Correct. I was like, what? I mean, George made sure that we had meetings. We had every head of every major department.
All of the major departments heads came in, and any other department that they wanted, if there was something going on, they would bring them in.
Correct.
But the big ones, where the lion's share of the money is, were in.
Correct. The DA's office came in.
DA's, social services, DPW,
the sheriff. So, when they come in, and Russell came in, the county clerk came in, and he explains why we need X, Y, or Z, and you're sitting there going, okay, that makes sense. What's the cost in this? And keep in mind, so we're doing this in August, right?
Correct.
So that when the department head comes to us and says, I need X, Y, and Z, right? And this is why I need it. Mm-hmm. You have time to do the research and find out if it's accurate or not, right?
Correct.
Because everyone wants the new shiny toy.
Always.
But I remember we spent a couple $100,000 on, what was that program with the show, the Nexus Lexus?
Oh yeah. That was to it was in-service training.
Correct.
And it would update their standards and procedures.
Correct.
Their procedural manual. And we got a company that would look across the whole, really, United States at issues of
best practices,
issues where police departments had not acted appropriately for whatever reason, and whether it was people got hurt, arrests didn't happen, arrests did happen, people got sued. They would look at it, and then they would gather all that data, and then they would look at our policy and procedure manual and say, well, you need to change it. And it was done. It's a constant evolution.
Correct.
And then it sends out text messages to every officer, change in protocol.
Correct.
I mean, that was a tremendous thing that we had. It was a lot more than $61,000.
It was a couple $100,000.
Couple $100,000.
And there's an annual fee to it.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So that we have the best trained officers.
Right.
So like when Tim Diamond was running for and he had pointed out the body camera thing, and him and I have had extensive conversations on this. But one thing I said that we did spend money on, which we thought was more valuable to us at the time, okay, was to make sure that there's a better trained, deputy, so that we don't have to question how they handle their business.
As long as they handle it according to protocol, according to the policies and procedures manual, we were comfortable.
Correct.
And it had been vetted across the whole country.
Correct.
It was terrific. So let's move on here.
Okay.
Josh Riley.
Okay, Josh Riley. Okay, so Josh Riley, who's an attorney, by the way. Mm-hmm. He lives in D.C., by the way. He does not live in Ithaca, New York.
Right.
But So he's sitting there. He ran against my good friend Marcus Molinaro and beat him. Mm-hmm. 8,000 votes, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting there. This whole NYSEG thing comes up. And he says, I'm going to fight NYSEG. Okay?
Good, because the people need you to do that.
Right? So, but does he try to change the rates? No. He's saying that the Spanish company that owns the parent company of NYSEG, Avangard, I believe is the name of the company, is not allowed to take X amount of their profits out of the country. Okay? So then he turns around and says, I'm fighting for you, the little man, right? But I don't know how that helps the little man, okay? That does not change, the $100 bill that's now a $300 bill.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct. I mean, it's just it's out of control.
So then you have him sitting there saying, I'm fighting for you, blah, 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 bring up things in Congress. That doesn't change. He needs to talk to Governor Hochul about this.
Correct.
But then he says, I have to stop because I just got a cease and desist letter from Avangard, okay, saying that I am not allowed to talk about this in public anymore. So he's in a race now with our good friend Peter Oberacker.
Yep.
And Peter Oberacker finds out that Josh Riley is a shareholder in Avangard.
Oh, no conflict there.
No. This is what I've been saying the whole time.
Right.
This is an inside game, folks.
Sure.
It's all a lie.
Right.
Okay? They're jobbing you.
Sure.
Okay? Paula Kay standing up there and saying, we're going to have meetings and we're going to blah, blah, blah. What legislation have you put up?
Oh, well, you can't expect that.
I mean, we can sit here and I've spoken to everyone who's been in office here for the last 6 years about Education Law 6301, right? Which funds local community colleges. No one's put up legislation. No one. You could say, oh yeah, we're for that.
And we already have the legislation, so really what they need to do is go out in public and take a stand of
correct.
Why aren't we following the law we passed?
Correct. It's the state law currently.
It's the state law currently.
All we want to do is fund it properly.
Right.
That's all we want to do.
You're in the budget process now. So this now would be the time to say, what about 6301?
So Josh Riley is lying. Then we find out that Josh Riley has gotten campaign contributions from said company.
Yes.
So he was banging Marcus for the same thing, okay? But you're a shareholder, and now you're getting campaign contributions. That doesn't seem like a cease and desist letter to you. I'm not an attorney.
It sounds more like a cease if you want another check.
Correct. So
it sounds more like graft.
Correct. Now, Matty Nysek,
right,
who works for them,
works for Nysek.
Okay, he hasn't said a word about Nysek. In fact, when Legislator Bernardo put up a resolution, and only 11 people knew about that resolution. The 9 let's count them. The 9 legislators knew about it. Annie knew about it,
right?
The clerk to the legislature.
Right.
Josh knew about it, so it's 9, that's 10, now it's 11.
County attorney would have had to know about it.
So now 12 people knew about it. No one else knew about it.
Right.
Somehow, Maddie's counterpoint in the Hudson Valley, who, by the way, used to be the assistant to Andrew Cuomo, okay?
Yeah.
Somehow gets wind of this, okay, when only 12 people know about it, and he writes a really stern letter about how important NYSEG is to the community and all they give back, okay?
So why did Josh call him? What? Why did Josh call him?
Josh didn't call him.
Well, it had to be Josh. Who else would it have been? It wouldn't have been any of the legislators.
No. Well, no.
Who would have his number?
Who would have his number?
Who would know where he is?
2 people had his number that I know of.
Right.
Okay? Josh would have his number because the guy worked for Cuomo and he was our contact for Cuomo.
Okay.
If you wanted to talk to Cuomo, you called that guy.
Right.
Right? And by the way, all these area managers are former Democrat assistants to either assembly people or senators or the governors or whatever. Okay?
Well, because they did such a good job
because it's an
preparing the
inside
state.
job.
Of course it is.
It's been an inside job the whole time.
I mean, let's face it, NYSEG is a government in and of itself.
Correct. And so Matty is the one who gave him the information. He admits it in open session,
Yep.
okay, but says I can't comment on it because I work for NYSEG. So he gets out of having to comment on it by saying it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, but the conflict of interest was that you disclosed information that was not yet for public consumption.
Correct.
So we're going to ignore that.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. Nothing to see here, folks.
Nothing to see here, folks. This is the same legislature that raised the amount of money. Now, remember, when we were in office, when I was in office and you're the county attorney, if you turned down the insurance from the county, you got $1,500.
Right.
Now they upped that to like $8,000-$9,000, right?
Which makes sense.
Right. I don't think it makes sense.
Okay. That's fine.
But they did that, and so now more legislators take the insurance, okay? Matty takes it, turns down his NYSEG insurance, okay? And he insures his family on your dime.
Ah, it's nice.
While he's screwing you on electric.
Of course. Well,
living in a gated community.
he's saving NYSEG money.
Yeah,
He's costing us money.
correct.
And he won't comment because the conflict of interest. That's where he
Correct.
stops.
Correct.
That's where he stops. And, if you go around the town, and you probably are at ground zero of this because in the hat as the tax collector, people are coming in. Look, let's face it. For many, many people, writing that tax check is a big nut.
Well, here's the thing, right? So I hear it on a daily basis.
Yeah, the electric bills.
I mean, they're like, can I pay this next month? And I explain it's a 1% fee, blah, blah. In January, I explained to most people, you can do 3 payments. You have to pay 50% of it now, and then 25 and 25. But you have to make the January payment.
Right.
Okay? And they're like, well, I got my electric bill, and, I'm like.
And this time of the year, you don't want to, you don't ever want to be without electric, but, a lot of people heat with electric. A lot of people, their water pumps, particularly out in Bethel, they have wells.
Yeah.
You need electric, they have
both.
water.
I have both.
Yeah.
I have electric heat in my house.
Yeah, right. I mean, a lot of people do.
Yeah. It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. Oil is not cheap either, but, there's, again, an inherent conflict. And, I don't know that Matty has the ability to walk in and get the rates changed. The point is he doesn't have the ability to cry out that these rates are just off the charts. That's the problem.
Off the charts.
Yeah.
Look, I believe there's programs to help people to help with the cost of their electric bill. Has Matty put up one thing about that?
Well, no. And, again, my office for a year and a half was running somewhere between $700 in the winter, maybe $1,000. It doubled last month. $2,000 for my office. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely crazy.
The same issue.
Yeah. All right. Let's, another issue that I want to touch on is, so we all know about the IDA and people that are not as well informed as they like to say that they are, who attend legislative meetings and school board meetings and vilify the IDA. And, I tell people, and he's in India now for some reason. I don't understand really why, but Walter Garigliano really is the person that has brought whatever major economic development we have here, has brought it here.
Without a doubt in my mind.
So Bethel Woods being a place that's not only historic, but it's a source of employment. I mean, 2 of my boys worked there. One of them still works there.
Sales tax? Tourism to the county?
Tourism. They now have the camping area. So it's really a jewel of the county. And
in the finest town in the county.
It's the gateway.
The gateway.
So Bethel Woods, up to this point, has functioned with a pilot, which means a payment in lieu of taxes.
Correct. Which, by the way, Alan Gary insisted on.
Right.
Okay? People sometimes vilify him.
Oh, they do.
But let me tell you something. He insisted on it 20 years
And
ago.
let's understand that the way that entity is set up, the way it's organized, it's a not-for-profit. They are entitled to a tax exemption.
So it's a 501c3.
Right.
So their total valuation is about $16 million. Okay. not all the property has been in the 501c3. They have since applied for that.
Right.
And I don't know for a fact. I know Mr. Gettle.
Danny Gettle.
Danny Gettle, who's the assessor in the town of Bethel.
Right.
I have not asked him about it. I find Dan to be intelligent. I find Dan to, follow the rules. I find Dan to be a pretty pragmatic guy. And
He's a straight shooter.
He's a straight shooter, straight up and down. And I would think, now, again, I've not spoken to him about it. I would think that he would grant it.
Right. Okay. So that what he'd be granting is putting all the property that encompasses the entity we know as Bethel Woods
Correct.
into 501c3 status, which means they're tax exempt.
Correct.
They don't have to pay a pilot.
Correct.
And, that's an interesting thing because we go back to Walter and how certain people vilify him. But the reality is all these solar fields also are entitled to an exemption. Correct. And Walter insists on them doing a pilot as well.
Correct.
So that the communities and the school districts get those properties on and off the tax rolls.
Correct. And the fire departments and everyone else.
The benefits.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
So Bethel Woods could have been off the tax rolls from the day they put the first shovel in the ground.
You are correct.
But Alan Gary, being very community-oriented and community-minded, said, no, yes, I'm going to bring sales tax. Yes, I'm going to bring employment. But we need to make our contribution.
Alan Gary's 95 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A billionaire?
Billionaire.
Well,
yeah.
if he's not a billionaire, he is well-heeled, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get that one straight. If he said, you know what? Let's just close up shop for a year.
Right.
Okay? For 1 year, we'll just close up shop.
Right.
We'll mothball it. And then we'll come back at it in a year. Okay?
Right.
You think the county would feel that? Keep in mind.
Keep those sales tax numbers.
Okay, keep in mind, we're currently down $5.3 million, almost $5.4 million year over year.
So in my years working in minor league baseball,
Okay.
we would go to municipalities about building stadiums. And there would inevitably be people saying, why should we pay for your stadium? And I would say, sales tax. And I would say the economic impact, because people will come to a game. Some people will stay overnight. Some people will have dinner before the game. Some people will buy gas after the game. There's going to be lots of spin-off. Bethel Woods, forget about what happens off of Hurd Road.
Correct.
What happens along 17B? What happens? I mean, go to any of the convenience stores between Route 17 and Bethel Woods.
Absolute
Try
pain
to
in
buy
the
a
neck.
bag of potato chips or a six-pack of whatever on the night of a concert.
Absolute pain in the neck.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Okay.
So there's that sales tax.
Correct.
If Bethel Woods shut down for a year, the county, they're down $5 million now. I don't know, double it.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what
The
would
economic
happen.
impact of Bethel Woods is dramatic.
So the way
And they have the camping area, and they're paying bed tax.
correct, which now is sales tax also.
Correct.
Right. So what happened was they, put in their 20 years was up. They put another application in. The town was fine with it. All the special districts were fine with it. The school district said, no, we want a valuation of the $16 million. We want our cut.
And the way the pilots work is they take the value of the vacant property and they create a tax number, a payment in lieu of taxes, based on that valuation. So the improvements that you make are not taxed. It allows a person to come in and develop a property without getting hammered on the taxes. That's the purpose.
So now you take what happened down in Eldred, where they knocked down all the buildings, right, at the Eldred Preserve, and then did the valuation,
Right.
which was a little swarmy, but
Right, because they were building, that land was there already.
correct.
Yeah,
It
those
was an
buildings were
entity-
there.
It was an entity already. They knocked the buildings down. They waited a year, and then they did it,
Right.
which was a little swarmy, but that's
Right.
okay. They're a fine organization, and they're doing well in the county now.
Yep.
So good for them. But still swarming. Okay?
Yep.
So
That's how economic development works, though. If you don't give them the incentive to develop jobs and sales tax revenue, they don't come here.
you are asking someone to risk money.
Right.
Okay, that's what you're asking them to do.
Right.
When like Dan Silna, You think he needs to do a legacy project?
No,
He does not.
He doesn't.
Okay,
He doesn't.
Does Alan Gary, whose name, by the way, is not on Bethel Woods. I just want to point that out.
Correct.
Okay?
Anywhere.
I've not seen his name anywhere. His name's everywhere. Trust me. I mean, go to the hospital, go to the college, go wherever.
It's not on Bethel Woods.
It's everywhere.
His brother is the Fieldhouse. The college, Paul Gary Fieldhouse.
Yeah. And by the way, the last time I did see Mr. Gary, he did offer to fix my mother-in-law's refrigerator that she had bought.
There you go.
60 years ago.
And she doesn't need it now, though.
No, she doesn't need it now. But the point being is that it was the school who pushed on it.
Okay.
Now, I know for a fact that when my wife was on the school board, 2 times they gave money back to the taxpayers because their fund balance was so high.
Right.
And then they constantly got, flack from the state saying your fund balance is too high. So now if your fund balance is too high, okay, and I've had my issues with Monticello Central School District,
right,
okay, because that's where we're supposed to educate kids, right? You're worried about $50,000-$60,000 on your budget? Are you kidding me? I mean, what are you going to change? Okay, how about you be part of the community,
right,
and take what they were offering?
Yeah, but we're seeing that in academics now. We're seeing they become that liberal bastion, and they're the big bad Alan Gary's got lots of money. So
Alan Gary's not the bad guy here.
He is none of that. But I'll tell you what. I have known of his deeds for a lot of years. And I know that, for example, when Liberty High School was going through, it was before I was on the school board, was going through austerity and had no sports program.
And I believe he was a proud graduate of that school.
He was a proud graduate of that program. He came and gave Liberty a sizable check and said, put the kids back out on the field. He has done that, and I'm sure he does it with no fanfare.
Correct.
I'm sure he has done that for others, and I have no doubt that if Monticello School District had ever gone to the Gary Foundation for something for children, they would have gotten it.
Correct.
Because that's just that's the fabric of who he is.
And let me tell you something. You would get a lot more from him.
Yeah.
If you said, okay, Mr. Gary, we understand that you don't want to do the pilot anymore. But we depended on that $60,000 you were giving us.
Right.
You would have that check in a week.
In a week.
In a week, you'd have that check. Okay?
Right.
I mean, that's who the guy is.
That's who he is.
I mean, I know of so many stories of him doing stuff like that. Okay. Don't get me wrong. If you got into a business deal with him, he would knife you for a nickel.
Absolutely.
Okay. But if it is pure, look at what his wife does, look what his family does, they would give you the shirt off their backs.
Right.
If you asked for it, okay? And you truly needed it.
Correct.
Okay? His business methods, I mean, he's rough. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but what
you
who
have
of successful business people aren't rough?
You have to be.
You telling me that John D. Rockefeller wasn't a rough guy?
Yeah,
he put the railroads out of business.
They're all rough.
They're all rough, but that's that's the way it is. That's how you be successful.
Correct.
Business is a tough game. So what happens now with Bethel Woods?
I mean, I don't know the answer to it,
Right.
but I know that there are avenues that they can go.
Right.
Right? There's host communities, fees that you can pay, which a lot of places pay.
That's what Thompson gets from the casino.
It's exactly what Thompson gets from the casino. So Thompson and the county get from the casino.
Right.
And the special districts get from the casino. I could see that happening. I can see... I don't know what's going to happen.
But Bethel Woods is not legally obligated to pay property taxes. They are not-for-profit.
Correct. But I cannot see Mr. Gary not moving forward in a very,
philanthropic manner. Because the whole purpose of that facility
correct.
Was his philanthropy.
Correct.
He didn't put his name on that for a reason.
And let me tell you, he knows the stress it puts on the people in Bethel. He understands it.
Right.
Okay. He knows that he's a good neighbor, and he's going to continue to be a good neighbor.
Right. So these are just some of the issues that have popped up in the last couple of weeks. We're going to keep our eye on all of them. This sales tax revenue situation with the county, we told you folks back in November and December, wait for the middle of the year when there is a big hole that has to be filled and see how the county responds to that. And we are looking for that. The body cam situation, the mismanagement of the budget is now potentially creating a situation where our dedicated officers are less safe out in the community, and people in the community are less safe. And we don't get an opportunity to really appreciate how professional our officers are. Josh Riley, just a dyed-in-the-wool politician. That's what it's all about.
He's a liar.
He
lied.
Dishonest, and he's a politician who just wants to do what he has to do to get elected.
The best part is the cease and desist.
Yeah.
He's like, I got a cease and desist letter from a company that you're a shareholder
You're a shareholder
and is giving you money.
Right.
I mean, come on. Let's be adults here.
Come on.
Can we be adults?
Yeah. And then obviously Bethel Woods, we want to keep an eye on that and see how they work out. But let's be clear, Bethel Woods people are not the bad people. For 20 years, they've paid their fair share.
They've enriched the community
tremendously.
For 20 years.
Yeah. If they shut down, this community will feel it. I know my house will feel it, but this community will feel it. So, last thoughts.
No, just we got to keep an eye on the ball here. Money's getting tight in the county. It's affecting a lot of people, and we need to, hold people accountable for, let's just keep them doing what they said they were going to do.
Well, they said that it would be a kinder, gentler legislature. I don't know if it's kinder or gentler. If you watch some of the meetings, you watch more than I do. They don't look kind or gentle, but what's coming out of them is certainly not kind to the taxpayers.
They're arguing about pen tapping.
Right.
They're having screaming matches over pen tapping. Okay.
Well, they ought to get those McGuire Law pens that have a rubber bottom to it. They wouldn't know it. There we go. All right. So we want to remind everybody to we are back, and we'll be back next week with another edition of Eye on Sullivan. If you got a comment for us, you want to leave a comment, let us know if you differ. We covered a number of different topics today. Leave us a comment. Let us know if you have an idea for a show in the future. By all means, let us know what that is. If you want to drop us an email, it's eyeonsullivan@gmail.com. It's eyeonsullivan@gmail.com. And you want to check us out on YouTube, check us out on Spotify. We need you to subscribe. It's very important that you subscribe. We get the numbers up to where we need about 1,000 subscribers. We will be able to go live and include you and your input in the show. And right now, folks, you're watching on YouTube, and most people watch on YouTube. While we were in Florida, we watched a couple episodes of Eye on Sullivan. We watched the Andy Caradontis episode one night when we were there, and we'll bring some of those folks back in to get updates. But you want to be sure right now to
smash
that like button so that we get the listenership up. And look, if you like a part of what we said, you want to copy it and you want to put it up on your own platform, please do, but copy the whole link so people can hear everything. You don't want to just have people hearing part of it. So, on behalf of the chairman, Rob Daugherty, this is Mike McGuire, thanking you for joining us for this episode of Eye on Sullivan. We'll be back next week with another edition. Have a great week, folks.
Thank you.